All right, everybody. Okay, this is our third, I think it's our third installment of Let's Talk Carving. And as you can see, I dress for the occasion all the time. I'm sorry, I dress for comfort, not for font for beauty, you know. And with this face, you know, I mean, but anyway, we're going to talk about some questions that people ask concerning, as we do with this Let's Talk Carving series, and just to give those people that are not members of necessarily Facebook or just YouTube and not a member of Let's Talk Carving, some of the things that people ask about carving. And I think it helps a lot for us all to understand and know a little bit. Now, I'm not an authority on everything, folks. There's people that are a lot more authoritative than me. But more than that, I mean, I've been in this 35 years and I've seen a lot of things, so it has helped a bit. Well, our first question today that we had on Let's Talk Carving, I'm looking at my computer here, so if I veer away from you and stuff, was about, there was a story going around at one time about a carver who had been to a show, and he was selling his carvings, and he had a bunch of porpoises that he had carved in natural colors there. Well, I mean, not natural colors, but natural wood look with stain and stuff like that. Now, what happened is he didn't sell any of these porpoises. It was just sort of a little display that he had. And so the next year, he took them home with him and he painted them all up. He painted them different colors and things like that, and he went to a show that about 6 months later, and he sold every one of them. Now, the question basically was, do you think that in most cases that color does attract people to your carvings? Now, there's two ways of looking at that, and I don't want to go the natural way that there's a lot of people that carve beautiful wood and use the wood grain and produce beautiful carvings. That's not what I'm talking about. But what I am talking about is that for some reason there's not truth to that, and there is truth to that. It doesn't mean it's a lie. It just means that it depends on the type of people that you're dealing with. Now, a lot of people like natural wood. Look, they do. But we cannot, dispose of the fact that when you do a piece, when you colorize that piece, or you paint it, is what we're saying, or stain it in a way, a colorized type stain, that it doesn't have an attraction, that it doesn't attract someone a lot quicker than anything in the world. Now, let me use a particular artist by the name of Lynn Doty. Now, Lynn does a lot of Western stuff and things, and his paint is extraordinary. And I've seen his carvings when they're unpainted, and I've seen them when they're painted. And he has shown pictures of the processes it goes through. And his painting, being a good painter can present an extraordinary issue. And definitely we are, as an audience and as a people who walk around and stuff like that, are more drawn to something that they see that is painted. Now, as a caricature, now basswood, if you use basswood, then there's really not much look to basswood. I mean, it's pretty much just white wood, and most people don't stain it, but when you paint that, or you paint your figure, it's like it just brings out that individual, that person, rather than just staining it one color or whatever it is in a way. So, does color attract? Absolutely. Absolutely. I was watching a video the other day about Anarchista and in Gatlinburg, Tennessee. And it's just like Christmas, okay? Like during Christmas time, a lot of people love to go up into the Smoky Mountains and other places, and they have the light shows where you drive through and stuff. And why do they do that? They do that because of the colors. They do that because that color is beautiful to them and it attracts them and stuff like that. So as a carver, we can use as an example a lot of times of what this scenario or this story was trying to prove. It was simply trying to prove that with a natural base or with a natural look, a lot of people just didn't care for it. And I have seen whales carved that have the natural look, but when they paint them and they give them that, you know, the natural painting look of the whale, in other words, it looks 3 times better. So I'm not trying to take away from the fact that someone is using bare wood or stain or anything like that. It's just the fact that I've watched that when people look at my pieces or look at other people's pieces, they like that color in there, and they like to see the color of the face, they like to see the color of the clothes and stuff like that. So does color attract? Absolutely, it does, and we all know that. So does your carving attract more than when you have color in it? I mean, I think that's self-explanatory. I really do. Now, I've seen, like Fred Coglow, his big carvings made out of wood, and they're beautiful because he uses the grain and everything like that. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm just talking about carvings that you have on a table. So, you know, was there a reason he sold them? Yeah, there was. Because it attracts to people itself when they see that bright colors or the things like that, in other words. Even though it's made out of real, you know, pretty wood, it's still, it shines out to them and all. So that was one of our questions that we had that we were discussing, and a lot of people said, agreed, it was both ways. It can be, you know, and like I said, some people are attracted to this, some people are attracted to that. But the majority of people, like I said, when you go to Gatlinburg or you go to Pigeon Forge or you go to these places, and a lot of people go during the Christmas time just for the lights, just so that they can go up there and see the beautiful lights in the trees, the way the city is lit up, and everything like that. So, does it have an effect? Of course. So just remember that when you're selling your carvings or you're making a carving for someone or whatever. Okay, well let's, our next question is, in setting your carvings, do you think that the display table and how you present yourself is in most cases is a selling point for your work? In other words, how you display your pieces. I think most carvers will tell you, yes, it does have, you know. Now, I know not everybody has the artistic thing to have a perfect display or anything like that. But I think the way you lay them out, for instance, the smaller pieces in the front, the larger pieces in the back, those type of things, I think it does have a toop of how someone looks at it, in other words. A display table can mean a whole lot. It really can. I mean, when people are able to see your pieces and the way you arrange them. Now, we have to look at a situation where economics is involved in this, okay? When stores are selling things, when they are selling you something, for instance, why is it that the milk and the bread and all that stuff is way to the back of the store? You know, that's not just chance, folks. You walk in a Walmart, anything like that, you got to go all the way in the back to get bread. Sometimes, well, not all the time with bread, but with milk and stuff. These are items that people get a lot of. So why do they make you walk all the way back there? Well, they do that for a reason. So you can walk all the way through the store, and in the meantime, oh, I got to get this, I got to get this, I got to get this, I got to get this. If you think that placing things on the item, for instance, I talked to a guy who worked in one of these stores, and they arranged the shelves and stuff. One of the reasons that the cereals are a certain height is because, and I asked him, he said, well, do you know why those sugary cereals and special kids cereals at a certain height? Because when kids were in a basket or something like that, it's just at the height that they see those cereals. Mommy, can I have this? Mommy, can I have that? Why do you think that the candy is at the counter a lot of times before you check out? Because you got a kid, oh, Mommy, can I have some candy and stuff like that? I know that all sounds kind of silly and to a lot of people, but it's what goes on in selling. It's a display. A display can be very, very, for instance, I know this sounds strange, but you can go into a store, and if there's a big display over here and it says 70% off, then that's going to catch your eye, okay? That 70% off is going to catch your eye, so you're going to go towards it, and even if it's not 70% off, you're still thinking you're getting a bargain. So our eyes have a big, dealing with that. So any display that you have your carvings where they look the way they should or whatever, and I've noticed that, a lot of people, when they have their things set out, for especially people who sell tools and knives and stuff like that, they set them out in a certain way so that you have the wood over here and the tools over here and things like that, so that they can, you can sort of, it draws your eye to the tools first perhaps, and then you look at the wood, oh, I need some wood and things like that. So a display is extremely important when it comes to selling your items. Now, of course, your items need to be in good, they need to be carved well and in good shape and stuff like that. But a display is important. If you could have little shelves or have them stacked. I know in miniature carvings, if you can have, little stacks of them where people see them and look at them and stuff like that, then it has a big effect on how a person will consider. And not only that, it tells the person that you put a lot of work into wanting to sell your item. And it's all in the brain, folks. It is. It's just like I told you. People see it's 50% off and they run to it. Now, whether it's 50% off, they think they're getting a bargain. And they'll get it. They really will. So everything has a purpose. And another thing, a man told me that worked at he worked, I think, at a store, and he had even worked at a Walmart or something like that. If you notice in Walmart that you'll go in sometimes and you'll go to a place where you know where the medicines are or something like that, but everything's been changed around. They'll go in there, change things around, in other words. And to me, it kind of ticks me off, at my age. But so what is that purpose for? And he told me, it's so that you will go looking for it and you'll go, oh, wait, I need this too. Or I need this too. Or I need this too. That's the whole purpose of it. So display is extremely important in economics, in selling and anything like that. So does your display table have a lot? Yes, it does. It really does in carving. All right. The third question. Do you think that the base of a I'm sorry. Do you think that the base of a carving is a very important selling product of the person's work? Yes, I do. Now, my little figures, I don't put them on the greatest bases in the world because they're small figures and they don't necessarily sell for a lot. So when you're talking about tiny figures, 2-3 inches high, unless it's in a scene or something, the base is not really all that important. But in larger carvings, especially in scenes that people do, the base is extremely important. I've seen carvings that are very attractive when they have a walnut base on them or something like that, or someone has created the base themselves. Yes, it has extremely important thing, especially, and I'm telling you, especially when you do the natural type carvings. Like suppose you carve walnut, or suppose you carve maple or something like that, and you put it on a base. If it's a figure or it's a bird or whatever it is, the base has a whole lot to do it. I learned that from a guy who is a friend of mine who is an expert taxidermist, and the base of the taxidermy, the ducks, he was a duck specialist. He would do waterfowl, and the base, you would look at the base the way he did it, and it was just beautiful, and how the ducks hung and things like that. So does a base have an important part in selling a carving? Yes, it does. It really does. Now, you can sell a beautiful carving without a base, but most of the time, most people will tell you that the base does have a large amount of draw to the person of what they want to see it. So it does. It has a lot of it to do with it. Now, the fourth question is, do you think that the location of the carving event or sale is a big factor in selling your work? Absolutely. Now, I think we've maybe talked about this. I've talked about this on my videos and stuff. Location, well, you've heard this old saying, location, location, location. Doesn't mean a lot. Absolutely, it does. I notice when I travel a lot of times, when I have gone to places like where I go see Whittler Dave up in Gatlinburg and places, up there you're going to find a lot of different carvings, but most of it now is chainsaw. Very few places actually have a lot of hand carved stuff. But when you get into chainsaw carving, like anything else, mostly up in the Gatlinburg, Pigeon Forge area, it's bears. And I know people get tired, oh, here we go, bears again, in other words. But most of your chainsaw carvers do bears up there, and they do them in different ways with welcome signs and whatever. But up there in Gatlinburg, Pigeon Forge, places that are tourist areas, what is a draw? Bears, okay? Because it's the mountains, and it's the Smoky Mountains up there. So chainsaw carvers carve bears. And when I used to go into Mac's old shop, Smoky Mountain Wood Carvers, they had a number of different, hand carved and stuff, but there was still always the bears and the animals and stuff like that. So, but up there, I mean, you know as well as I do, when you go up into the Smoky Mountains, the chainsaw carvings that you see up there are bears. The majority of them are bears. And I ask myself sometimes, I talked to one of the guys up there and I said, do you actually sell all these bears? And they do. They sell them to a lot of businesses, especially the larger ones and stuff, because that is the symbol of the Smoky Mountains. So they put them in front of their restaurants, they put them in front of them with the little welcome signs and stuff like that. And I mean, some of these bears are very expensive, some of the bigger ones especially. And so we ask ourselves, is it the location? Now, I talked to a carver one time who was a seasonal carver. And he told me, he says, I'm a seasonal carver. Now, what he did is he went up to Gatlinburg and Pigeon Forge and he carved bears while he was up in Gatlinburg and Pigeon Forge. And then during the summertime, he would go down into the Florida beaches and stuff, and he would chainsaw carve pelicans and swordfish and sea captains and things like that. So when, in the Smokies, it was that, and down, of course, on the coast, it was more of the beach type stuff. He would carve things that had to do with the beaches and whatever. So, is it location? Certainly it's location. It has a lot to do with it. Now, location has a lot to do with, of course, why is a lot of the big carving events, why are they in certain places, and you know, I know that I've been to Dollywood where they have their thing, Branson, Missouri. That's another place where they have a Silver Dollar City has a carving shop and all that. And you see all different types of carvings in those things because it attracts people. But, you know, when you go to certain places that, you know, it's like cowboys. If I took cowboys up to, if I carved a bunch of cowboys and took them up to the Smoky Mountains, I probably wouldn't sell them. Probably wouldn't. I can't say I wouldn't, but I said a lot of them I wouldn't because, you know, just like Santa Clauses. And that is not so much the location you're at, but the season. It's the season. When Christmas time comes around, what are people interested in? What are they interested in? They're interested in Santa Clauses. I know people get tired of, you know, seeing Santa Clauses and stuff, but they're interested in Santa Claus and that's what they're going to buy. So that's not necessarily a location, but it is a season. And that season is when people, just like Halloween, during the Halloween season, if you've carved some little figures that are Halloween, they can sell. They can do those things. We often do that on Let's Talk Carving. Yeah, show us your Halloween carving, show us your Christmas carving, show us your New Year's carvings and stuff like that. Now, New Year's is not really a big seller as far as carvings are concerned. But most people will do it as far as a seasonal thing. And a lot of people start with their Santa Clauses and all that stuff way before it ever gets to be Christmas, so that they can have things ready for them. So location, seasons, those type of things all have to do, and that's why they have so many craft shows during Christmas. I mean, it's, you know, it's amazing how many craft shows and shows that they'll have during Christmas, because they know that people are buying for Christmas and to sell Christmas Santa Clauses and carving. So it's just elementary. It's just the way it goes. So those are four of the things that we have, the questions that we have asked. Now here's one that a guy, and this will be my last one, and then it says, I sat down to start a project and everything felt out of joint and nothing seemed to go right. Does anyone else have that happen? How do you deal with that? My goodness, if you're a carver, everybody knows that happens, in other words. How many times have we started a project and then we just get about 3/4 through it and go, you know, I don't like this. We throw it away. And that's sort of about what he said, but start a project and everything felt out of joint and nothing seemed to go right. That's in anything. That's in anything you do. That's why a lot of people don't understand that. Doug Linker has talked about this. A lot of times before he will present a video, Doug will carve something 4 or 5 times before he presents it, because he wants to find out, you know, is this really the video I want to do? Is this what I want to present? Have we all started projects that we just, you know, just can't seem to get into it? Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. A lot of times a person will start a project and go, well, I think this is going to be the right thing to do. And then they, oh, well, wait a minute, that's not the right thing to do. It's just, you know, he's asking, does anyone else have that happen to them, and how do you deal with that? It's very simple. If you start a carving and it's just not working for you, then you can continue with the carving, you can finish it, you can paint it and everything like that. But if you're not, I mean, I even finished a carving one time and I thought, you know what, I don't like this. And I actually threw it away. Yes, it does happen. It happens to all carvers. It happens to anybody that does any kind of work. I'm sure painters, everyone like that, that does any kind of artwork, that will happen. You look at it and you go, you know what, this isn't what I really wanted to say. Or this isn't what I really wanted to do. The best thing to do is just stop. If you need to, and learn from it. We've got to learn from everything that we do. No matter whether we do learn from it or not, we've got to understand that not everything we do is going to be perfect and right. And when we carve something, sometimes we just don't have our heart in it. Sometimes we just want to be carving, but really the piece that we're doing just doesn't match what we really want. So Doug will tell you that that he'll do 4 or 5 pieces before he ever does the video of it to make sure that that's really what he wants to present. That's what he wants to do. And not only that, if you do 4 or 5 of them, you get better with each one. So, everyone thinks that, oh, that's the first time he's ever done that. No, most of the time Doug will tell you, he does quite a few before he ever does the original one that you see in the video. And that's a great thing. That's a good thing to do in such a way. But I've done that. I've started carvings I thought, or I even started carving videos I thought were going to work. And you turn out, oh man, this is not what I really want. And I don't edit my stuff. I just go ahead and go with it. Like if I nick my finger, I nick my finger. But, and I put a Band-Aid on it. But yes, things don't always go right in what we do. And as a carver, you're going to have to learn that have you ever been interested in a project or something like that, and you get all excited about it and you start it, but as it goes along, you go, this is not what I want. And that's what he's talking about. Does that ever happen? Of course. Happens to everybody. If you're a carver, it's going to happen to you. And the best thing to do is just go ahead and, okay, it didn't work out. We'll try again. We'll try something else. When I've created scenes, that hobo scene that I created with about 3 or 4 hobos in it, there were several things that I'd put in it that I looked at it and said, that doesn't work, or whatever it is. Let's try something else. And sometimes just put it down. Put it down and go back to it. You don't have to throw it away necessarily. You put it down, go back to it, and if you still feel that way and you don't like it, then get rid of it. So anyway, that's it. That's some of the questions that we're asked a lot of times, and we've got a lot more that they ask. And I'm trying to share these with you and understand what goes on in carvers' minds a lot of times, some of the questions they ask. So I appreciate it. God bless you now, and I hope everyone's enjoying their carving experience and their carving days, and God bless you, and take care, and please be safe. Young people that are first carving, wear your glove. Don't be silly, and because I've seen some people do some pretty bad cuts. But wear your glove and learn the control of the knife. All right, God bless you now. Have a good day.